I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Solid Waste Advisory Commission of the City of Meridian. And this is March 27th. It is now 2 minutes after 4. This is the regular meeting for March 27th. And we'll start off with roll call. Please indicate if you are present. Andy Arriaga,
Present.
Mark Nelson,
Present.
Steve Corey, here. Bethany Guajardo. Meg Larson.
Here.
James Leckie.
Here.
Scott Walters.
Here.
And we'll move on to ex officio members. Rochelle Klein.
Here.
Quorum being present, we'll go ahead and move on to our agenda items. First is adoption of today's agenda. Are there any comments on the draft agenda?
Mr. Chair, no comments, but move to adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as written. Are there further comments? Sensing the commission is ready for a vote, all those in favor of approving the draft agenda as written signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. We'll move on to the draft minutes for the February 28th meeting. Are there any comments on the draft minutes?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the draft minutes as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the draft minutes for the February 28th meeting be approved as written. Are there any further comments or motions? Sensing the commission is ready for a vote, all those in favor of approving the draft minutes for the February 28th meeting as written signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. The ayes have it. And we'll move on to staff program reports. The first item under staff program reports is bulky item program. Saird.
Hi, I just want to let you know that Bethany is on Zoom. I'm going to promote her. So I can talk about the staff program or the bulky item, and then hopefully she'll be able to listen in. Okay, she should be able to listen in now if you want to ask her attendance.
Bethany, if you want to go ahead and just indicate your presence, say here or something like that.
Here.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to clear up any confusion people might have about the new bulky item program. So starting this year, January 1st, we removed the spring cleanup that's at the beginning of May, and we replaced it with year-round bulky item pickup. So an individual resident can call in or schedule online through the city website, and they can have 10 free bulky item collections, so 10 free individual items collections a year. They can have all their items collected all at once, or they can spread it out throughout the whole year. And that doesn't include Freon appliances or anything that's normally was a no, like, boats, cars, stuff like that. And then for the trash pickup at the end of the year in December, right after Christmas, that has been the bulky item section of that event has been removed since we have the free bulky item collection, and Republic Services is offered to pick up to 5 trash bags full of trash. And then from there, we'll reevaluate to see, what's going on with that program, and then if it should just be replaced. with just a straight bulky item collection. So outside of trash event in wintertime, it's 10 free bulky items. And trash bags can be collected as bulky items, but you have to stick it in a container. It just won't be allowed to be collected on the side of the road near the cart. Does anybody have any questions, or does that make sense? Kind of what our new program is? Perfect, thanks. And if you have any, feel free to email me and I can certainly answer any questions. Or if you have like, well, what about this? I can certainly answer those as well. We've had some people call or ask about that email in, so since it's still new.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is a monthly presentation. This month's presentation is on the solid waste management system and partners.
So I heard you enjoyed looking at the slides last month and it was helpful. So we'll continue, monthly presentations, just short ones about the solid waste program. Sorry, there's something stuck on my screen. Okay, so following from last month is about the commission. This one is kind of like we're going to talk about the solid waste management system and the partners that are involved in making the whole system work. So right here we have Republic Services hauling, we have the MRF, we have the compost facility and the landfill. Those are the main partners of the entire solid waste system, to be able to, for us to have develop programs, then get the items picked up and moved to the specific type of processing facility, depending on what material it is. So first starts with, whatever program that the city develops. Looking down here, which is either it's a glass collection program, compost, grass, recycling, or trash, or even a commercial type program. The items need to be collected and hauled, and Republic Services is the franchise agreement who we've contracted with to do those services. So they have an exclusive franchise agreement, and this agreement is analyzed every 3 years by me, the solid waste coordinator. And it was analyzed 2022, I believe, the last analysis. And then I manage the contract between Republic and the city. And each year, Republic negotiates rates and fees, and they're brought to the city staff, and we discuss it. And that's per the contract and with an ordinance. And then after it's been discussed, Republic presents those fees, which you guys have seen, to you, SWAC. And then in addition, Republic has donated services. Our leaf helps out collecting or hauling the collection of leaves, trees, and Christmas trees, and also the extra trash that we have. Does anybody have any questions on this slide? And then a lot of the materials get, instead of sometimes it's direct haul. That's meaning going straight to the landfill and not stopping along the way, or straight to Timber Creek composting. But a lot of it is actually brought to the transfer station, also owned by Republic Services. And there things are consolidated to save money, energy, time, and then brought to the appropriate facility. So here there's photos on the right of the transfer station, kind of what it looks like. It's probably more updated now. And then at the transfer station, that's where Meridian specific household hazardous waste mobile site is. And then also the recycling of bicycle, where people can drop off their bikes, where we work on the program. And then also the recycling that's open to the public, which is free. And then in addition to the transfer station, then we have the disposal areas. And one of the main ones is the landfill, Ada County landfill, which is owned by Ada County. And then you can see kind of a aerial footage of what it looks like, the landfill. So all of our trash doesn't have to, but right now all of our trash is sent to this landfill. And this is based on actually their website. The landfill estimates that 400, which is a lot, 400,000 tons of municipal waste. So it's waste, not special hazardous waste, but municipal waste is brought there every year. So around a ton per year. And in general, the operations of landfill are that items are tipped, disposed, dropped, placed in a prepared area where it's compacted, leveled, covered with dirt or some other covering agent. I know Tom was here talking about a foaming agent, and Corey, we were also talking about that. And then once it's covered in a landfill, it's deprived of oxygen, so it's the anaerobic process. So which makes landfill gases, that would be methane. And those gases, some landfills you can see are, the methane is flamed, or it can be used for power or put back in the grid for landfill gas, like more of a natural gas byproduct to be used. And then the liquid that is either developed from the anaerobic process or liquid that just is landfilled is called leachate, and that has to be treated or put in leachate ponds. So I coordinate with the landfill to maintain certain programs. One example is the collection of Christmas trees and leaves. So Republic Services collects those leaves, but they then bring them up to the landfill to be consolidated and then composted. And then in addition, the landfill also has a SWAC like here, and that's met quarterly, and Steve Corey happens to be the chair on that or it's called a committee. So that's why quarterly he comes and gives updates. So you guys kind of have an idea what's going on up there. And I put this on here because a lot of places don't accept tires. So that is one place that in this county where people can bring their tires is the landfill. And they also have a household hazardous waste program. And our waste that's collected at the transfer station is brought up and dealt with up there. That's where they kind of house it for the county. And then if material collected from a public isn't landfill, but it's recyclables, it goes to a MRF, so a material recycling facility, which currently now is owned by Republic Services. And actually most of all Treasure Valley's recyclables go there. So we all share the same place. And that is important because that means that this city, Boise, most cities, if it's in the curb recycling, they can all take the same materials, doesn't matter where you live, and all haulers. So Waste Connections also drops off their recyclables there. And they're sorted, again, into the individual materials and then sold to end markets. This is also where, and this is just in Ada County, not all the Treasure Valley. The orange bags are taken out of the mix, consolidated there, and then hefty energy bags, they ship those off to the end markets. So here, there's a picture of the actual MRF. So it's just on the conveyor belt, called the line, and then it's pulling off, I think this might be the eddy current. Does it look like it? Or is it the stars? Yeah. Been a while since I've been there.
So the paper, yeah, containers and paper.
Yeah. And then we have bale. So they bale the material. So here's paper, and then those are shipped off to pulp mills or specific markets for paper. And then, so we have trash, recyclables, now we have organic material. So the grass, leaves, Christmas trees that are collected in our different city programs are collected in Timber Creek Recycling, compost these. And in this type of composting is aerobic decomposition, so with oxygen. And then they sell their material to the public. And the public can come in and buy it. And then here, actually, I got a picture. So this is our, I think it's a few years ago, but at the Meridian or the Meridian facility, one of our leaf boxes being dumped, and this it's just dumped on the ground and then finished. This is an example of not the leaf finished product, but a finished product at the end. So it looks a lot different. Does anybody have any questions about the different partners that work to make our system work? Wonderful.
Thank you, Sarah. That was very good. Commissioners, any comments? I think we can move on to the next item, which is an update on the Household Hazardous Waste Program. Sarah, do you have any news for us?
Yeah, so nothing's really changed, which is good. So Clean Earth, who is currently the contractor with Ada County for picking up the hazardous waste and transporting it, is still going to be the contractor to the end of this fiscal year, where the county will, have been planning to have an RFP to go out and look the bid for if there's another contractor that's interested in taking up that contract. So all the mobile sites will still be functional, and even up at the county landfill, that program will still be maintained right now.
Have you looked into, the county went ahead and terminated their contract 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, so there was some disagreements, and looks like they came back to the drawing board and they gave them they asked for if they would do a 90-day extension, which they agreed to, which then ends,
So at this time, the services are still available. There will be a termination at the end of the 90-day period. Beyond that, I know the landfill is working on having a stopgap between then and the end of the fiscal year. And so at this point, we really don't have much more than that to say, but we do expect services to continue as normal.
sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I think basically that kind of puts us where we were thinking we were at, is that something's going to change in about 6 weeks, but we haven't really heard anything yet. And we're staying tuned because it may require some action quickly at that time, but we don't really even have any idea what the action will be. So thank you, though.
So, Sarah, does Clean Earth have the option to competitively bid the contract again? Or are they looking completely all new vendors?
I believe they do since they came to some agreement and they are going to do the 90 days. But I'm not 100% on that. That'd be something that, only Ada County knows right now.
Thank you.
But I'm assuming we'll probably know more, hopefully at the county SWAC meeting.
And when is the next meeting?
April 26th. It's our next meeting. It's
Yeah,
just
April-
earlier, like at 10.
So April 24th will be the county SWAC and our city SWAC. We'll report anything more we get. And then on or about that time, there should be a household hazardous waste quarterly meeting too. So
Yeah, that one's not scheduled yet, so we don't know when that one is. But the county should talk to the county SWAC about it, so hopefully we'll hear more.
any other comments or questions? Unfortunately, I wish we could give more detailed information, but we haven't heard anything either, so. We'll go ahead and move on to old business. The item under old business is the grant subcommittee update. And I'll turn it over to Meg Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an iterative process, but we are making some progress. So our subcommittee met and reviewed the existing application materials, which we found for the most part pretty useful for our current program. Definitely some cleanup necessary, and I think some adjustments in the wording for the size of program that we have. So working on those materials and intend to bring something back to you at the April meeting. I also chatted with city staff kind of about the ideas that we had for the program so far, which is very useful conversation about kind of narrowing in on the grant program specifically and then sizing that program appropriately. So it has been some number of years since we've awarded any grants. And there is also some interest in preserving some of that community recycling fund for other initiatives that the city may have. For example, you know, one possibility is a composting program for the city. So that, with that in mind, the recommendation for the size of program for grants to be made in fiscal year 2025 is $5,000. So we would do an ask of council to allocate budget out of the community recycling fund in the amount of 5,000, and then have those funds available to make grants. A rough schedule would be to approve the materials and the refinement of the program at the April meeting, and then have an application window between May and July, evaluate applications, make awards in August, have council approve in September, and be ready to go in October. With the size of the grant program for this first year, or this first restart year, that schedule could slip a little bit because with those size of programs, it would not take as long. So we do have some time to get that going. But that is the idea. And another thing, just went out of my head. So we will continue to work as a subcommittee on refining those materials and bring something back for SWAC to consideration, continue conversation with city staff to make sure we're on the right track there and be ready to move forward. So kind of gone through a couple of steps, but we definitely are making progress on kind of zeroing in on what that program would look like. And I think it's good to get started with something small and modest rather than hold off for a much larger program, because I think that is part of what has delayed us for some time. So I'd rather move forward with something small and simple and get started again than keep holding off. So so next steps would be to bring back those materials, look for SWAC's feedback today on the size of that program and the rough schedule, if that seems reasonable to you, and then also thoughts on outreach or sample ideas that we could suggest to folks for the type of programs they could do. So feedback here or separately to me over email for discussion with the subcommittee, but to just help us promote the program and do the outreach to the right places so that we get a good pool of applicants when the time comes. That's all that I have for today.
Thank you for the report. Members of the commission, do you have any questions on the report of the subcommittee? Meg, do we need to go ahead and take up an action on the amount of the grant at this time?
I think, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that would be advisable, and then we can move forward with working with staff to facilitate that request and just kind of keep things moving.
So a motion would be in order.
So I would move for SWAC to authorize us to request $5,000 to be included in the city budget for fiscal year 2025 for grants from the Community Recycling Fund.
Second.
And if I may, I think basically we have to go to council for approval to go ahead and do this. So this is a request, well, let's see. So this would be to charge me to go ahead and make a presentation to the city council to get approval for a $5,000 grant program in FY '25. Yeah, FY '25.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may, and then between now and that council meeting, the subcommittee can continue working on fleshing out the grant program, the size of grants that we would make, the anticipated number of grants that we would make, et cetera, so that that presentation is more complete. I'm sure that council will have some additional questions.
Members of the commission, do you have any comments or debate on the motion? Any further comments or? Okay, sensing the commission is ready for a vote. The motion before the body is to go ahead and request council for approval to open up a grant program for FY '25 for $5,000. Further, sensing the commission is ready for a vote, all those in favor of the request to council signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. Sayard, can you go ahead and get me on city council at whenever their convenience is, and I'll make the request.
Yeah, I'll get with you and we can decide, because we have to write up some paperwork and stuff first, and then we'll get that going.
Thank you. And be looking at, obviously, the paperwork that goes ahead and goes with this will be, hopefully we'll be able to give it to you before the next meeting so you can be up to speed to go ahead and talk about it. And with that, I think we'll move on to new business. And the item under new business is recycle a bicycle in the 2024 event. Commissioner Nelson.
Mr. Chair, yeah, it's that time of the year. We're starting to kick loose, reviewing our inventory and getting organized to start actually repairing bikes. We don't want to get too far ahead. But Rochelle Sayard and Commissioner Walters and I met on March 13th and kind of planned out some key dates as far as outreach. We're going to do a better job of explicitly, I can't pronounce it today, advertising that we'll have a slime station for repairs, and we'll be able to help people fix their current bikes like we had in the past. Also, yeah, we have some kind of a running list of materials that we want to get ordered. And Commissioner Walters and I met again a week or so ago and inventoried where we were at on some tools and some consumables. And so I'm still building a list to send to Sayard and get ordered. Just kind of working out the vendor for some things. Some will get online, and I might meet with you during the day someday and go use your card. Would prefer to buy from a local vendor wherever we can rather than online. And I think we already have money allocated. We don't need to, we requested that already.
Good to go, just so whenever you're ready, and then we can just go down, like what we did last year, go down to the local store.
Yeah, I think we're making good progress. Now we're in a kind of standing invite for 4:30 Tuesdays for staff that can help us out. And then once we have kind of a backlog of bikes that needs repaired, we'll reach out and ask for some more help. We have 2 or 3 names that are good bike mechanics, can help us out. And in some cases, if you can't fix a bike, but you can ride one and make sure the brakes work, that's still help. So you don't have to be skilled labor. But I think we're on track. More to follow.
Commissioners, any questions or comments on the presented information?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add that we have a new element this year that I don't say convicts, the inmates, I guess, at the penitentiary have kickstarted the program with Boise Bicycle Project again. So we've been taking out like 10 bikes at a time for the inmates are learning to repair bikes. So when they get out, they have a skill. And so we're just starting to see some of those bikes come back too, to add some bikes to our unplugged event from the penitentiary.
Thank you. And while we might as well mention also that we're going to close registration for April 26th. And we're going to limit the requests to 50 bikes. And depending on, what the requests are for and what inventory we have at the time, we may adjust just how many we take out to the event on May 11th. But we'll make sure that we kind of changed how we took care of this last year, and it worked much better. We'll have a lot of bikes that we can give out to just kind of walk up people, because people don't know the program exists until they see it. And then those bikes that aren't picked up, even though they were registered and committed, if they don't pick up those bikes, then we'll get them donated as quick as we can. So that's our kind of our new policy. Get them out of Rochelle's way so she can add more.
Mr. Chair. So is the registration limited to residents in Meridian or?
No.
Okay. Mr. Chair, another question. If folks wanted to help out on the 4:30 Tuesdays, do they RSVP to you or do they just show up or?
I'll send out they should RSVP to me, so I know they're coming, just in case we have to cancel due to weather or some other reason. We often have to move from Tuesday to a Thursday or whatever, weather permitting. So that would be best if they emailed me first.
Thank you.
It is an outdoor event.
And it is really fun. The
I'm
three of
sure.
us, for sure. The 3 of us are always there and we always invite everybody else to have fun too.
It is,
Further comments or questions? Well, hopefully the weather will cooperate. With that, that takes care of all of the business on the agenda. Oh, wait a second, I take it back. The next item on the agenda is stakeholder updates. Republic, do you have anything that you'd like to go ahead and present at this time?
I'm not at this time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, that completes all the business on our agenda. And our next meeting is, as mentioned earlier, April 24th. As always, if you've got some kind of a topic that we haven't covered that you'd like us to pick up, go ahead and pass it to me or to Sayard. And when we do the agenda setting 2 weeks from now, we'll go ahead and do our best to bring everything in. Unless there's anything else that needs to be picked up at this time, I want to thank you for your contributions and we'll see you next month. The meeting is adjourned. Yeah, if we need to get together on forms or anything, say so. Good.